At just 4 months old, he was already speaking. Before turning 2, he could read full sentences. At 7, he made a revelation that left adults in stunned silence. What this boy claimed to remember defied logical explanations and turned his childhood into front-page news. He said he had once lived on Mars and that the red planet had been destroyed because of a war. Amid unbelievable accounts, puzzling interviews, and a sudden rise to fame, he issued warnings about humanity's future, warnings that still unsettle people today. Where did such specific memories came from? How did a child capture global attention with stories of a life on Mars? And why did he later vanish without a trace? To understand Boriska's story, we need to go back in time and uncover how it all began. Boriska Kiprianovich was born in 1996 in Volgograd, Russia. From the very beginning, he stood out. At just 15 days old, he could hold his head up. By 4 months, he was speaking, and before he was 2, he was reading full sentences. It was a childhood far from ordinary. Teachers and his parents noticed something beyond intelligence. His memory was unusual, and his interest in complex subjects surfaced far too early. At 3, he flipped through astronomy books, naming planets and galaxies without ever having studied them formally. To his parents, it was like the boy had access to knowledge he had never been taught. At 7, during a camping trip, Boriska astonished adults gathered around a fire. Suddenly, he began to speak about Mars, lost civilizations, and cosmic catastrophes. What impressed them was not just the stories, but how he told them, with technical vocabulary far from the grasp of a first grader. Those who witnessed never forgot the scene. When Russian newspapers discovered him, they gave him nicknames like the Boy from Mars. At the age of 11, he gave interviews to Project Camelot, describing supposed memories of a Martian life, nuclear wars, underground cities, and even secrets hiding with Egypt's Sphinx. Between intrigued teachers and media reports, Boriska grew as an enigma. On one hand, a prodigy with remarkable memory and intelligence. On the other, a child who spoke of Mars as though recalling a past life. If a child could describe a Martian existence in such detail, what else might he reveal about humanity's fate? How do you explain a mind so precocious? Pure imagination, coincidence, or something far greater? If Boriska's childhood already seemed extraordinary, his revelations were even more unsettling. From an early age, he described life on Mars with ease. According to his memories, Martians were tall beings, up to 6.5 feet tall, living in underground cities to shield themselves from the planet's hostile surface. Unlike humans, they breathed carbon dioxide and had bodies adapted to endure extreme Martian conditions. But there was more. Boriska claimed that Martian civilization had mastered technologies that today still sound like science fiction. Among them, a triangular spacecraft capable of interplanetary travel, propulsion powered by magnetic energy, and even the ability to cross dimensions, moving through space instantaneously. In his words, Martians did not depend on linear trajectories. To fly, you don't need to follow a straight path. You pass through multidimensional space. A striking claim from a boy his age. What shocked people most, however, was his description of Mars' downfall. Boriska recounted that the planet had been devastated by a nuclear war between rival factions, a catastrophe that not only destroyed the surface, but forced survivors to seek refuge underground. The parallel with Earth was unavoidable. Were we headed for the same fate? This direct connection to humanity's future was central to his messages. Boriska said he wasn't on Earth by chance. He had been reborn here to prevent humans from repeating the same mistake as the Martians. His mission, according to him, was to warn humanity against nuclear self-destruction, a task he claimed to share with other special children, the so-called Indigos, supposedly sent to prepare humanity for times of transformation. Another point of fascination was his reference to hiding secrets in Egypt. Boriska insisted that the Sphinx concealed a secret entrance behind the ear where knowledge capable of changing humanity's destiny was stored. Yet, he admitted no longer remember how this secret passage worked. Beyond Mars in Egypt, he also spoke of ancient Earth civilizations. He mentioned Lemuria, a legendary continent said to have vanished in geological cataclysms. He described its history as if it were a memory. Talking of friends and tragedies he claimed to have witnessed. To some people, these were impossible stories. To others, they were evidence of reincarnation. Boriska also made predictions. He said Earth would face major catastrophes and that the poles would reverse. He even pointed to specific years, like 2009 and 2013, as dates of great global disasters. Although these predictions didn't come true literally, their apocalyptic tone only added to the mystery. After all, how much of this was just an imagination? The impact of his words was immediate. The Russian media turned him into a celebrity, and soon his name spread worldwide. Websites, UFO forums, and TV programs discussed the boy from Mars. Even scientists, those skeptical, admitted surprise at his technical vocabulary and unusual knowledge for a child his age. But not everyone believed him. Many saw Boriska as simply a highly imaginative child, influenced by books and conversations at home. Others claimed his stories were inventions, fueled by sensationalist media attention. The doubt persists. Was he a gifted prodigy, a well-crafted hoax, or a witness to something we still can't explain? Regardless of the answer, Boriska's message left a mark. Speaking of nuclear destruction, reincarnation, and lost civilizations, he touched on universal fears and mysteries. To him, humanity was at the crossroads, about to repeat the same mistakes that once destroyed Mars. But after all, what became of the boy from Mars? After achieving international fame as a child, Boriska simply disappeared from the spotlight. From the age of 11, his media appearances grew rare until they stopped entirely. The prodigy who fascinated newspapers, TV shows, and even researchers withdrew from public life. This silence gave rise to countless theories. Some believe Boriska was taken to a remote Russian village under government protection. Others insist he moved to Moscow and lives quietly with his mother. Extraordinary claims say that psychics maintain telepathic contact with him, assuring he is alive and well, but hidden by choice. The lack of concrete evidence only deepened the mystery. Western journalists tried to find him, but no investigation succeeded. It was as if the boy from Mars had chosen to vanish from the world. His disappearance is even more puzzling when we recall the intensity of his childhood claims. If it was all imagination, why disappear? And if it was a hoax, why not keep exploiting the fame? Meanwhile, the debate continues. To many, Boriska was just a child with a vivid imagination, shaped by books, conversations, and his environment. His predictions didn't happen literally, and his supposed mission could be seen as a narrative built upon humanity's fascination with mysteries and aliens. On the other hand, some view his case as proof of something bigger than us. For them, Boriska stands as living evidence of reincarnation and past life memory. A boy who, for reasons unknown, brought memories from another planet and tried to deliver warnings that we failed to heed. One way or another, his story continues to circulate in UFO forums, documentaries, and mystery websites. The story is amazing. A boy who remembered life on Mars, spoke of ancient civilizations, and suddenly vanished without a trace. A mystery without a definitive explanation. And it is precisely this void that keeps fascination with his story alive. Where is Boriska today? Did he choose anonymity to escape a hoax? Or is he still carrying knowledge he cannot reveal? What should we make of the warnings he left humanity? Boriska's story remains an open enigma. To some, he was just an extraordinary intelligent child whose imagination found a perfect stage in humanity's fascination with extraterrestrial life. To others, his memories of Mars and warnings about Earth's future are signs of something we have yet to comprehend. The fact is that, even years after disappearing from public view, his figure lives on. People still revisit his marvelous statements about a past life on Mars. Each time his story resurfaces, it reignites the same question: was all just a child's fantasy or an inexplicable phenomenon? His story grows even more relevant today as the world lives under the shadow of new international tensions, with nuclear powers and conflict, and the threat of another world war looming once again. In this context, Boriska's word about the planet destroyed by a nuclear war and a warning for humanity not to repeat the same mistake echo like a haunting reminder, whether or not his claims were true. In the end, believing in the boy from Mars is a personal choice. But what cannot be denied is that his narrative forces us to reflect on a universal fear: humanity's march towards self-destruction. And perhaps the most important question isn't whether Boriska's story is real or not, but the fact that we might need a boy who claimed to be from Mars to remind us of what we are capable of doing to ourselves.